Joining us now to talk more about what's next is Lori Williams, political science professor at Mount Royal University. Thank you for joining us, Lori.
Well, it's my pleasure, Manesa.
Counting continued into the afternoon today. What stood out to you with this election and the results?
Well, I think it was a little closer overall than I thought it would be, in a lot more ridings than I expected. And although we saw the collapse of the NDP vote, which was predicted, that didn't exclusively go to the Liberals. Some of that NDP vote went Conservative, particularly in Ontario, and that I think was a surprise as well.
Jagmeet Singh is stepping down as the NDP leader, but Poilievre is staying on. What's next for all the parties and the Liberal government?
Well, the Liberal government's got a challenge on its hands. I would say this same challenge would obtain if they'd won a majority, even a decisive majority, because there are deep fractures in some parts of the country, as we've heard, and a sense in some parts of the country that people are not being heard or responded to effectively enough. So I would have suggested that Mark Carney reach out, for example, to my home province of Alberta, and try to address some of the concerns that have been raised here. Now, it's important to understand that in Alberta, about 28-29% of Albertans voted Liberal. That's quite a bit higher than it has been in recent years, and higher than since in the last 60 years. It's the highest Liberal vote that we've seen in Alberta. So that means a significant number of people voted Liberal, but I'll bet you a lot of those same people would like to hear better responses to Alberta's concerns. There are questions of fairness that I think need to be looked at, and thankfully now we have confirmation that two MPs will be going from Alberta, one from Edmonton, one from Calgary, who will be going to Alberta and can be part of that communication that happens between the new government and Albertans. It's not just going to fall to those MPs who will likely be cabinet ministers. It's also going to fall to Mark Carney himself to reach out to Alberta and work with leaders, whether it be elected leaders or other leaders in the community here, to try to find some common ground. So I think there are challenges for Pierre Poilievre. He's less popular than his party. That said, a lot of the folks that got elected last night for the Conservatives got elected because of Pierre Poilievre's campaign. So he's probably got some very strong supporters within his caucus, but he'll also have people there who point to the huge lead that he lost, to perhaps some of the language or the tactics of the campaign, and they'll also point to the divisions between and amongst Conservatives. So those will be the internal challenges that Pierre Poilievre has to deal with. He's going to have to get a seat somewhere else, persuade someone to give up their seat for him, and then not just be a good opposition leader that's attacking the government, but also be willing, at least on some files, to work with the government as well. He suggested that he's open to doing that last night, but again, I think just given that Canadians are really worried about the challenges that are coming at us from outside of the country, that we need to try to come together within the country in ways that put the long-term interest of Canada ahead of short-term political interests.
A minority government, how will this impact Carney from delivering on his campaign promises?
Well, first, I neglected earlier to mention Jagmeet Singh. So the NDP party has suffered a significant decline here. They still will play an important role in this parliament because Mark Carney is going to need the help of others in parliament to pass legislation. So we can work with NDP and Greens and Blocs and even Conservatives on some measures. But it's hard to know what the future is going to be for the NDP from such a diminished presence. So they've got to find a new leader. They've got to figure out a way to try to sort of build and connect with Canadians in a way that they weren't able to in this election. And part of the reason they weren't able to is because for many people in the NDP party, the joint threat of Donald Trump, and for some, Pierre Poilievre, drove them to at least for the time being, give their votes to the Liberals. It'll be up to the NDP to try to win those people back. So the governing challenge going forward is to try to put forward an agenda that appeals fairly broadly, that addresses the primary concerns that Canadians have, and those center around, of course, the threats coming out of the United States, but that also affects affordability, housing, things like potentially pipelines, because there is agreement. Even the Premier of Quebec, Mr. Legault, is saying that he's open to a pipeline so that there's a little bit more energy independence and access to exports that would benefit the entire country. But, a project like that wouldn't get built before the next election, but it could certainly get started before the next election. So there are opportunities, but also challenges before, and it's just going to be trying to find those areas where compromises can be made, where collaboration can be done. And that, I think, is going to go beyond the House of Commons. It's going to go to premiers of various provinces. It's also going to go to industry leaders and community leaders in various provinces as well.
That's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us, Lori.
Thank you, Manesa.